There is no more fertile racing ground than Indiana soil. From sprint cars to Indy cars, this truly is America's racing heartland. This weekend, stock cars command the spotlight. As NASCAR's biggest stars prepare to hit the bricks, the Nationwide Series arrives cross-town here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Amidst an atmosphere of tension and conflict, the championship leaders look to continue what has become a hostile battle. After a brief hiatus, Kyle Busch returns looking to assert his dominance. And some young hopefuls look to flash steel and turn heads on this short track showcase. They all arrive looking to do one thing: have at it in Indianapolis. Tonight's race may be just a prelude to the big one Sunday, but everyone here is taking it very seriously. And as we move closer to the green flag, you can sense the energy building here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Certainly, there is no lack of emotion. There's plenty of carryover from a week ago. In the eye of the storm is this guy. Carl Edwards enters tonight as the series' most recent winner. But the way he was able to secure his Gateway victory Saturday makes him public enemy number one in some people's eyes, especially Brad Keselowski. The championship leader heads into tonight's race trying to shake off the sour memory of what transpired on the outskirts of St. Louis a week ago. Keselowski saw a near victory spoiled as he was victimized by some very aggressive racing coming to the checkers. Let's flash back. It all started shortly after the green-white checker restart. Keselowski to the inside of Edwards entering turn number one. Then he slides up a bit. He'll clip the rear quarter panel of Edwards. Edwards gets loose. Let's take a closer look at what happened. You see Keselowski down low, loosens up Edwards. Edwards not very happy about it either, and returns the favor coming off of turn number 4. Keselowski hard into the wall. Several cars collected, and with that, the stage is set for another great short track battle tonight here in Indy.
10, 9,
and welcome to NASCAR Countdown. I'm Mike Massaro here at the O'Reilly Raceway Park. Just a short 20-minute drive from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And for drivers who have dreamt of one day racing at the Brickyard, those dreams, well, they started at places like this. Very tight, very fast, 0.7 of a mile short track. And, of course, close quarter short track racing usually leads to some pretty tense moments. Tension, however, already at a fever pitch heading into this one. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen next between Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards. What transpired between those two a week ago in Gateway, not an isolated incident. They have a history, and what happened may have opened some old wounds.
I knew we had something for him there at the end, and not real sure what happened there with Carl and all that, but I knew it was going to be a dogfight at the end, and we were fighting hard. It just didn't work out.
If that 09 can stay hooked to the back of that 99, it's going to be close right here at the line. He goes to the outside as Edwards goes. Oh, no, he turns him.
I got to apologize to Carl for wrecking him, but man, the rule is you can't go below the yellow line, and he blocked, and I wasn't going below it.
Looks like Brad Keselowski gets in the back of the 60 car and spins him.
You mentioned it, aggressive driving. We just saw it.
Big time crash there from Brad Keselowski. I think this was Carl Edwards' payback for what happened earlier in this race.
To come back and just intentionally wreck someone, that's not cool. I mean, it could have killed somebody in the grandstand.
They've got one more lap to deal with Brad Keselowski. Keselowski fights back on the inside.
But whatever happens now, this race...
Keselowski gets into Edwards. They save it. This is going to be down to the wire. Wide touch. He spun out. Carl gets into Keselowski. Carl Edwards will win. And they stack up behind.
He just got in over his head and tried too hard, and it was at my expense. So that was at his expense, and we got our win.
Carl flipped out like he did at Atlanta and tried to kill the kid. He ain't gonna kill my boy.
In the aftermath of Gateway, NASCAR issued penalties Wednesday, coming down hard on Carl Edwards. He was hit with a $25,000 fine and docked 60 Nationwide Series points. Jack Roush also lost 60 owners points. Meanwhile, Edwards and Keselowski were both placed on NASCAR probation until December 31st. Time now to hear from both of them, starting with Brad Keselowski, who's standing by with Shannon Spake.
Well, NASCAR has spoken, and their comment is, have at it, boys, will be tempered at least between the 22 and the 60. Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards on probation until the end of the year. What does NASCAR probation mean to you?
Well, it just means that, although the end of the finish for the race at Gateway was exciting, intentional wrecking's not okay. I think NASCAR wanted to make sure that I knew that, didn't intentionally wreck Carl back. So to me, that means just to not go out and intentionally wreck each other. But, from speaking with NASCAR, they were happy with the way I raced and very supportive.
The last 2 weekends, you've had your season's worst results. Have you reached your limit of bad finishes running for a championship?
Yes and no. I feel like we've done a great job. We've been competitive. We've had a couple bad finishes, but our cars are so fast, and it's even fast today. Discount Tire Dodge today was just unbelievably quick in practice. Got kind of a bad draw in qualifying, but that's okay. I think we can get up to the front.
All right, Brad Keselowski's definitely going to make it exciting tonight. Rick?
Well, Carl Edwards, one man who is very happy that this is all going to be over with tonight. Let's talk about this race and the fact that this is hopefully going to at least put the incident behind you. Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah, that was last week, and last week's done. This week we're here at ORP, and we've got a really fast and all forward, and hopefully we can just go out here and run like we have in years past. And qualifying, it was not as fast as I wanted to be. We had a real loose off, so we're hoping these cool temperatures, these clouds rolling in, will get this thing going. I love this racetrack. It's fun.
Last year you started from the back of the pack, were able to go all the way to the front. Do you think you can do it again?
I think so. This race is very short, but a lot happens during this race, and I think tires me more than anything. So I think you'll see some guys coming and going a lot more. But yeah, I'm excited to race. And I just got to say thanks to all my fans for sticking with us this week, and and it's going to be a good season. I think Brad and I have a lot to look forward to, good racing, and hopefully that's the way it heads.
Carl Edwards happy that tonight's going to happen so he can just start moving on.
All right, thank you, Rick. Certainly that will be an underlying current we'll be following throughout the course of the night. And for more on that, let's go upstairs to the guy who will be calling lap-by-lap coverage. That, of course, being Vince Welch, who's accompanied by Ricky Craven and Rusty Wallace.
Well, the news of Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards has certainly dominated the talk throughout the course of this week. But tonight, for the first time since that race at Gateway, they're actually going to be on the track racing against one another. Rusty, if we thought it was tight last week at Gateway, it's really tight on a short track. How do two guys on probation race one another on a short track tonight?
Well, Vince, they got to give each other a little bit more room, that's for sure. We talked to Joe Ballas, and I said, what's this mean? And he said, I told them they better give each other more room than they normally do. The problem is, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. It's very, very hot here tonight at ORP. The car's going to be slipping and sliding all over the track. And if Brad and Carl get side by side, I'm not so sure they can stay off each other. They might slide into each other accidentally, and I hope that doesn't trigger a big explosion between the two of them again.
Well, it's not just about the drivers, too. I mean, the teams get involved in this when you've had as many incidents as these guys, right?
That's exactly right. At the end of last week, we saw Paul Wolf go down to Drew Blickensderfer and show his disgust, as he rightfully should have. Hey, listen, the team members, the guys that build the shocks and change the tires and add fuel to the car, they all have an opinion. They have skin in the game. And there's a little tension between the two teams, so keeping them apart is going to be important also.
Well, they're not going to be just together on the racetrack tonight. Take a look at where they are pitting. The blue pit there you see is the pit of the 60 team of Carl Edwards. To the right of that is the orange pit box of Eric McClure. And just to the end of McClure in the black pit box area, the Discount Tire, that's Brad Keselowski. So Keselowski and Edwards are separated by just one pit box tonight. So maybe not just tight on the track, but tight on pit lane as well. And there were a lot of other teams involved in that incident at Gateway last week. Aside from Edwards and Keselowski, Shelby Howard, big damage, Steve Arpin, Colin Brown, Jason Leffler, all suffered significant damage in that incident last week. In fact, let's check in now at the NASCAR Craftsman Tech Garage and kind of what's the first thing teams do to start assessing that damage with Tim Brewer.
After a crash at a racetrack, you go back to the shop. What you have to do is put the car back on a surface plate so you can get accurate measurements on what's damaged on the front of the car. But if you have to replace the front snout on a car, you literally come in here and cut it off right here, rebuilding all the structure from here to the front of the car. But after you get the car back off the surface plate, you take it over to the body shop. That's when you have to reaffix all the sheet metal on it. But the same process in the rear of the car. If you got light damage, you cut it off right here behind the shock absorbers. But if the car's really mangled, you literally come in here, cut all the bars off right here, and put the whole rear subframe back on the car, but you have to put the sheet metal back on it. It takes an awful lot of time to fabricate these cars because you've got to adhere to all the templates on the race car that NASCAR requires you to have. But in the meanwhile, you spend a tremendous amount of money rebuilding a car after a big crash.
And thank you, Tim. We should also point out there were several cars collected in that late race incident in Gateway. And NASCAR Vice President of Competition Robin Pemberton was asked whether or not that factored in to their decision-making process when it came to penalties. Now, Pemberton said that brought the situation to light, but the penalties were more concentrated on the actions on the racetrack and the history between Keselowski and Edwards. Of course, the Keselowski-Edwards crash, not the only one of note in Gateway. We should also point out the Joe Gibbs Racing teammates Matt DiBenedetto and Brad Coleman also involved in a crash there as well. Both cars getting virtually destroyed, and the race car drivers absorbing much of the impact. A very hard collision. Matt DiBenedetto suffering most of it. Spent a lengthy time in the care center, fell to the grass, and afterwards, well, was very sore. But the good news is he is back tonight, ready to race the 20 car. Still ahead, no one's had more nationwide wins this year than Kyle Busch. After a week off, he's back. We'll talk with Kyle as he seeks his third ORP win. Jason Leffler pulled off the upset here in 2007. Can a nationwide-only driver win again? Hear what Leffler has to say about that very prospect. And with qualifying and practice this afternoon, it's already been a busy day. We'll show you who's fast and who still has some work to do. Qualifying took place earlier this afternoon at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and some surprise faces at the front of the field. This is one of them. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a very fast qualifying lap, just over 22 seconds, good enough to qualify third. A year ago, Stephen Wallace, perhaps his best race ever in the Nationwide Series, and he's picking up right where he left off. Strong qualifying effort. He will start second this evening. And for the second straight week, it's this guy on the pole, Trevor Bayne, a very fast lap for Diamond Waltrip Racing, his second pole of the season. He's with Shannon Spain.
Trevor Bayne has a third-place finish last week at Gateway and comes here and backs it up with a pole here at ORP. What is your confidence level right now, Trevor?
Well, it's pretty high, highest it's been all year. I mean, for the whole team, it just builds that morale, builds the chemistry, and it's easier to work when you're not under that pressure of can these guys do it? We know we can do it now. You know, we just got to keep these runs going, keep that momentum flowing, and see what we can do here tonight. I mean, our car was really strong on the short run in qualifying, which was kind of unexpected because we worked on long runs all day long. But to have two poles here at Indy and two starts, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
You had a third-place finish last week, and you led some laps. What did you learn about racing up front with some of the leaders?
Well, it's a great feeling just to be up front again. You know, to 10 to go, we were leading the race. I'm like, man, this feels awesome. You know, it's back to the old days of being up front again, and it just builds that confidence like you were talking about, and it's just a great feeling. And now we know what it feels like to lead those races, and once you start running these top threes, it just gradually snowballs into, you know, maybe a win or just continue these top threes, and we're putting ourselves in position to have that first win. You know, we keep running up there, situations happen, and we'll be all right.
Trevor Bayne will lead the field to green here at ORP. Mike?
And thank you, Shannon. There are several former winners in tonight's field, including Ron Hornaday, who won here in 2000. Jason Leffler gave Toyota its first Nationwide Series win when he won here in 2007. Kyle Busch, he's won here twice, including a dominating performance in 2008. And last year, it was Carl Edwards who picked up the victory. He's also won here previously in the Truck Series. The list of past winners in tonight's field is rather lengthy. It also includes Morgan Shepherd, who has 3 wins here, including the very first back in 1982. Two-time O'Reilly Raceway Park winner Jason Keller is also in the field, as are Joe Nemechek and Mike Wallace. And joining me now is the guy who pulled off the upset back in 2007, that being in Jason Leffler. And Jason, it's not very often that a Nationwide Series regular is able to beat these Cup Series regulars when they come down here. What's it like competing against those guys at a place like this?
Well, it's tough everywhere we go. I mean, just trying to keep up with the laps they get, trying to keep up with the teams they drive for. I mean, they drive for, you know, we got Penske and Hendrick affiliated cars and Roush and RCR. So that part of it's tough too. But Braun Racing does a great job, and we just keep going, you know. But it's tough. I won't lie about it. But I enjoy it. I mean, you're only as good as who you race around. So when the best come down here to race, you step your game up.
It appears tonight is one of those opportunities. How would you assess your chances of getting it done again?
Well, if everything works out, falls our way, you know, the Great Clips Camry is pretty good. We got a new pro motor in tonight, and it's making a lot of power. And I think my car's pretty good. I think the cloud cover is going to help us here, and we'll have to wait and see. But we got to keep the fenders on it, have good pit stops like we have every week, and get rid of these mechanical failures we've been having lately. So if we can do that, we'll have a good night.
Well, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Jason Leffler trying to buck the odds. The only nationwide regular who has won this year, Justin Allgaier, who went to Victory Lane at Bristol back in the spring. Here's a list of the double-duty drivers, 7 of them in tonight's field. Paul Menard, the highest qualifier here. Had a little trouble over at the Brickyard, though, qualifying 26th. Brad Keselowski qualified 8th here and 11th over at the Brickyard. A solid effort overall. And, well, Kyle Busch, a lot of people believe he's the guy to beat. He starts 5th tonight. He's with Rick DeBrule.
And Kyle Busch, let's talk about how hard is it to go from racing at the Brickyard to here, 2 totally different tracks?
It's actually not that bad because at least you get a sense of knowing that you're at totally different tracks, so you have to think about it completely different. And it's not just 2 different cars at one racetrack that you have to think about. It's just you can throw everything away that you come over here with from over there. So it's fun. I enjoy it. And hopefully our Camry's really fast tonight and we can keep it up front and take our new sponsor with us to Victory Lane. And if anybody wants to get some new GPS deals, it's a pretty neat deal to look at. And just go ahead and check out their website. And hopefully everything can go our way tonight and we can end up with GPS and Victory Lane.
All right, now let's talk about the fact that you didn't get any real practice laps. You just showed up for qualifying. How's the car?
Well, we qualified 5th. It's okay. It was real awkward to drive it the first few laps, just the qualifying laps that I had. And, I'd have to get used to it a little bit and fine-tune my driving style to the car and just kind of pick and choose our battles and keep it up front.
All right. Kyle Busch, one of the double-duty drivers out here tonight. Mike?
And thank you, Rick. Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski appear to be in a 2-man race for this year's championship. But is this the last year we see a Cup regular contend for the nationwide title? According to a report on SI.com, teams were recently told that changes were on the way to assure that a Cup regular could not win the Nationwide Series championship in the future. Here's what NASCAR spokesperson Ramsey Poston had to say about the situation. Poston said, "Things are squarely in discussion right now. We can't say there is even a set of plans that are specifically being debated. The discussion is whether there can be a set of plans to find a way to better promote the full-time NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers. We're still in the feedback phase and are talking with teams to get their input." And, of course, ESPN NASCAR analyst Rusty Wallace is also a Nationwide Series owner. And, Rusty, a lot of people wondering, what are your thoughts on this?
For sure, Mike. I believe in 2011 it's going to be the largest change that the Nationwide Series has ever seen. You've got the new car. Now there's a lot of talk about restructuring the point system to make sure that a nationwide regular can win this championship, that they don't have to compete so hard against the Cup regulars. They'll probably do something with the points. I believe there'll be something coming in the testing section also. But above all, a lot of changes for 2011 in Nationwide Series. And from what I hear, it's all good things, Mike.
Well, thank you, Rusty. We'll have to pay close attention to that. It's certainly a big development in the Nationwide Series. Plenty of motorsports action coming up on the ESPN family of networks. Tomorrow, it's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Brickyard 400, presented by Golden Corral at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coverage starts with NASCAR Countdown at noon. Sunday night at 7 Eastern, it's the Mopar Mile High NHRA Nationals on ESPN2. Then next Saturday, the Nationwide Series is back at it in Iowa, 7 Eastern, also on ESPN2. The energy starting to build here at the O'Reilly Raceway Park. We're getting ready for green flag action when we come back. Stay tuned.
Back at O'Reilly Raceway Park in Indianapolis for the NASCAR Nationwide Series race tonight. It's a hot one, 90 degrees, a steady wind, 15 to 20 miles per hour. You see the track temperature, and there at the bottom, that's the one we're really paying attention to, an 80% chance of rain. So NASCAR has pushed up the start of tonight's race because of that inclement weather. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that we can get this thing in tonight. 200 laps on a short track. 6.86 miles around this. I mean, we're talking about a short track, less than 7/10. But how about pushing up the start of the race, Rusty? Is that something you got to deal with as a driver at any time it happens to pop up?
Oh, as a driver, you want to get going, man. You want to light the wick and get this baby going. I mean, you don't want to sit there and go through all these pre-race ceremonies. You want to go racing right now. For the driver's aspect, hey, they're ready, no problem.
But this could change the strategy, folks. The fact is that they're going into this, typically a 200-lap race. Now they're wondering about weather. It changes the mentality of the crew chief, maybe a little bit of the driver.
See some of the big stories there as we saw Brad Keselowski. He, of course, the points leader. Carl Edwards, second in points. Big debate this week about their incident last week at Gateway. Stephen Wallace, second quickest in qualifying. And Trevor Bayne on the pole for the start. Let's go trackside for our pre-race ceremonies.
Please remain standing as our colors are presented by the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion Metro South Recruiting Company. And now to deliver tonight's invocation, Mike Chase, store manager of the Anderson, Indiana Kroger Payless.
Before we pray, let us remember the men and women that are fighting overseas. Let us pray. Father God, we come this evening to say thank you. We thank you for all your many blessings. We thank you for this opportunity this evening. And we pray that you would bless this track, cover it, make it safe for the drivers. And then all these blessings we ask in thy son Jesus' name. Amen.
Our national anthem tonight sung by Madison Arbuckle, University of Kansas musician.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Getting ready to go racing at O'Reilly Raceway Park. The NASCAR Nationwide Series. It's the 20th race of the season, and we're just about ready to go green in Indianapolis.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at O'Reilly Raceway Park in Indianapolis is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win a Roush Ford Mustang.
Back at O'Reilly Raceway Park, NASCAR Nationwide Series action getting ready to get underway. And there's the point standings after last week's race at Gateway as we head into this one after Carl Edwards was docked 60 points. You see Brad Keselowski with a 228-point advantage. Justin Allgaier, Keselowski's teammate for Penske, third. Menard, Stephen Wallace, Brendan Gaughan, Joey Logano, and Jason Leffler. Well, we mentioned a moment ago, this is less than 7/10 of a mile around here. It's a short track race, and it's a flat track. It's real tough to get around here without getting in somebody's way. But, Rusty, what's the key to short track racing without ticking somebody off?
Yeah, good question, Vince. The key to that is just stay calm, because you probably will get hit tonight. And if you get bumped, don't get mad. Don't go crazy. Don't try to retaliate, because if that happens, you'll probably tear your own car up. So stay calm, stay working your car, and above all, don't fall victim of anger.
Ricky, what's the difference between rubbing and racing and rough driving?
You know, rubbing's okay, and the drivers will tolerate that occasional rub or even an occasional bump if they're given the time to recover. Two things I want you to watch for that they won't tolerate here and will cause problems. Number one, if you get a shot from behind like we saw in the film, because there's no room for error. The second thing is to be clipped on corner exit. If you're not clear and you move up anyway, that drives the drivers crazy, could retaliate. The straightaways here are short. Drivers need straightaways to calm down, so the recipe for some action here.
Absolutely.
Talked a lot about some of the big name guys tonight, but how about some of those that have flown under the radar? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. qualified third quickest today.
Yeah, absolutely, Vince. I'm really impressed with Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, let's look back a couple races. He finished third in the new car at Daytona for the opening there. He's qualified third here today. He looks fantastic out there. Look, Ricky had some problems early on this year with some wrecks and stuff like that. In fact, a lot of it not of his doing, but it looks like it's smoothed out now, and he's having a much better second half. So really impressed with Ricky Stenhouse.
Junior Motorsports has Josh Wise in the 7 and Eric Almirola in the 88.
Yeah, so we're talking about capitalizing on opportunities, specifically Eric Almirola, because Dale Jr. wanted him in that car. Tony Uri Sr. said, this is our guy. We have high hopes for Eric, and he needs to capitalize. He's got the experience. He has the talent. He has a good record here at ORP. He needs to get it done.
Eric Almirola has won pole here before at O'Reilly Raceway Park, but this is his first Nationwide Series start of the season. You want to impress when you get an opportunity for Junior.
Especially when you have the boss behind you, encouraging you, so it's a great psychological advantage.
Keeping an eye on the 88, working with Tony Uri Sr. for the first time tonight in this race at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Let's go down for the command to start engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, delivering the command to start engines tonight, Steve Young, Vice President, Kroger Manager of Customer Service.
Gentlemen, welcome to the 29th Kroger Riley race. Gentlemen, start your engines.
The engines have fired, and we are about ready to roll at O'Reilly Raceway Park here at Indianapolis. It's a big weekend of racing. The Nationwide guys tonight and the Brickyard tomorrow from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 7 double-duty drivers. One of those is that man, Carl Edwards. He will be our in-race reporter tonight, and he'll also be running in the Brickyard tomorrow. We'll speak with him when we come back. Carl Edwards just ahead. Another near-capacity crowd at O'Reilly Raceway Park for NASCAR Nationwide Series action. Close to 30,000 on hand tonight to see this race. Trevor Bayne on pole, Steve Wallace alongside in the front row, and last week's winner from Gateway, Carl Edwards, is our in-race reporter. Rusty?
38, I'd rather that spot. Double check everything.
Carl, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Sure, Rusty.
Hey, Carl, it's been blazing hot here today, and you know tempers can flare up quick when it's hot inside the car. Are you concerned drivers might lose their tempers and get aggressive and cause big crashes because of this heat?
Now, why would you ask me that, Rusty? What would I know about any of that? It's a short track, and it has been hot, but, this track really has a lot of room. There's a lot of different places you can run. It's one of my favorite racetracks in the country. So, I'm hoping that we can have just a good, clean race here, and hopefully we can repeat from last year. We had a really good run here. Just happy to have Fast and all and Copart, Ford, everybody here tonight.
All right, buddy, we got an ESPN mailbag question, and it comes from Vinny in Kansas City, Missouri. The question is a short track the toughest place to start your probation period with all the physical driving involved?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. I just hope I go out here and have a clean race. I'd much rather have one of those than what we had last week. So I'll just keep doing what I've been doing, and then hopefully there won't be any trouble. We'll just have to see.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Now, Ricky's going to speak to your crew chief, Drew Blickensturfer.
Drew, Ricky Craven up in the booth. Drew, this is Ricky Craven, ESPN.
Hey, Ricky, how are you?
I'm good, Drew. Look, you had 2 drivers practice your car, not ideal circumstances, but did you get enough from each of them to put together a winning car tonight?
No, Ricky, the 60's been real fast for the last couple of years. It's one of Carl's favorite places, like you said. So we have a good baseline. We had something to go back from 2008, 2009. So we learned a little bit with Eric this morning. We learned some more with Carl in the heat of the day. So hopefully we made the right guess, and the balance will be just about right for these nighttime and the cooler temperatures.
Sounds great. Thank you, Drew.
All right, bud. I'm sure you're still at pit road speed there. If you have any glance, go ahead and let us know if you can. That's our
Trevor Bayne on pole, and the rest of your onboards as you see the cars coming by in the final pace laps here. Josh Wise, Brian Scott, Justin Allgaier all giving us a look, along with Eric McClure, Ron Hornaday, Edwards you saw in the conversation, Brendan Gaughan, and Stephen Wallace. Our over-the-wall reporter tonight is that man. He's Mark Hollywood Armstrong. Mark, any special tools for the challenges tonight on pit road?
Well, guys, I would say things are going to heat up down here on pit road, but with the track temp over 100 degrees, it's hot already. These are some of the tools we're going to use tonight to do battle, but the real war is going to be fighting the heat. It's extremely hot down here, and tonight you're going to have to drink lots of water and stay on top of your game to have a good night and go to victory lane. Guys?
Thanks, Hollywood. Take a look at the race analysis as we get ready for this one tonight. 200 laps. Pit road speed 35 miles per hour. There's a look at the pit road window. It's not just a short track, it's a flat one. Just 7.5 degrees banking in the corner, 2 degrees on the straights.
Oh, I tell you, that's going to be a tough one. I don't know if they're going to make it 125 to 130 laps. Usually on these short tracks, we see a lot of cautions, but hey, I could get surprised tonight.
You're right, Rusty. Earlier you said you got to relax, particularly early in the race. So these drivers are headed down the backstretch, know they're coming to the green. They got to take a deep breath and think about 200 laps, not the first 20.
Pace car pulls off the track in turn 3. Trevor Bayne, the pole sitter for the second year in a row here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. He'll start on the outside. Stephen Wallace starts on the inside. Those two on the front row, and they are going to lead them to green. It's the 29th consecutive year that they've run a nationwide race here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and we are underway at ORP.
Boy, pretty clean start so far. Look at Jason Leffler's car, guys. A lot of damage. It's destroyed already. First corner, and it looks like we had a pileup out of Leffler's 38 car.
Just a reaction situation where he got collected, the restart scrambled, mid-pack on, and he suffered for it.
Leffler staying on the track. I'm wondering how his vision is at this point as he's trying to maybe find a way off track. As you see Trevor Bayne still leading the way as it's started to filter out a little bit with Stephen Wallace charging here in the early laps.
Yeah, pretty good start except for Jason Leffler. I mean, we got a feel for him. He's had a lot of problems this year, but he's had fast cars all year long. And Vince, to start the race and wipe this car out in the first corner has got to be an unbelievable feeling for Jason and this entire team.
At a track where he has had success, to add insult to injury.
And it looks like the 12's got some damage on the front end. The 20 of Matt DiBenedetto has some as well. So seeing on the replay here, they just stacked them up on the outside. Keselowski got in that as well, your points leader. So significant damage to the 38 of Leffler. We can see that's going to likely end any chances or hopes he had of winning. But some other drivers, including the points leader, Brad Keselowski, with some damage to their cars.
You know, you can only see that car in front of you. You can't see the car in front of it and in front of it. So your reference is really narrow on the restarts or the initial start.
Okay, the guy got out of it with not much damage as Brad Keselowski. I mean, his car don't see much damage. But take a look at Leffler. It looks like the radiator's not tore out of it, but he's having a hard time seeing it also. The 20 car, Matt DiBenedetto, he's tore up big time also. So a lot of problems in the early going. And wow, these short tracks and flat stack you up.
Rusty, they want to keep going and catch a caution, stay on the lead lap, but they're both going to overheat.
So Leffler pulls off. He's coming to pit road.
I mean, I can't believe this has got to be the worst it's been for Jason Leffler. This poor guy has been wiped out. Rick, what do you see down there, buddy?
You can see an awful lot of bent sheet metal. The question is how much damage has been done. Crews waving up into the top, saying it looks like it's too much damage to repair out here on pit road. And remember, they don't have the normal garage setup like they normally have in the back. As a result, they're going to have to go back into the center, but not where their transporter is, not with all their spare parts.
Yeah, because this track is such a small track, the transporters, the haulers, have to park outside the racetrack. So teams cannot go to the haulers to get parts to repair the cars. You see Edwards in the middle there. There's Keselowski right on the bumper of Carl Edwards.
Oh, boy, Keselowski almost hits the left rear of Carl Edwards and clears him barely.
Keselowski used really good judgment there, Rusty. He did not push the issue. He backed out. Only 8 laps into the race. That was the smart thing to do.
I'm taking a look at Keselowski's car, Ricky. Looks like he's got some damage on the left rear corner. I don't think anything is going to affect the car, but he's definitely got that quarter panel tore up just a little bit.
And here's a situation where the 22 car is better than the 2 cars in front of it, but you've got to use some sense and you've got to use your experience and pull back the reins and say, I got to wait. I cannot push the issue.
Well, the probation issue front and center right away as we have Keselowski and Carl Edwards, the 2 guys that got into it last week at Gateway, both put on probation, and they're running bumper to bumper right out of the gate.
Yeah, Joe Ballas told us today, these guys, he expects them to give each other a little bit more room than they normally do. And right now, it looks like they kind of test each other's patience one more time. They're separating themselves now. But, man, already the tempers are getting up. And remember, folks, it is blistering hot here at ORP tonight. Almost 97 degrees.
So Keselowski, as you see the work on the Matt DiBenedetto JGR car, the Joe Gibbs car on the left side of your screen. Keselowski trying to get around Reed Sorensen and Colin Brown on the right side of your screen so he can try to close the gap on Carl Edwards. Now, Trevor Bayne, your pole sitter, still in the lead. Stephen Wallace is still in second, so nothing has changed up at the front. Let's go down to Mike Massaro and check on the 20 at DiBenedetto.
Opposite of what Matt DiBenedetto wanted tonight. He came in extremely confident, excited about being at a short track, but already it looks like this night may be very short. Heavy front end damage. The car is overheating. They're pulling away sheet metal from the fenders, trying to get some air to the cooling area, to the radiator. It's just not working. Matt DiBenedetto just killed the motor, turned it off. They're going to roll it back. They're considering bringing it behind the wall, guys. This may be trouble.
Well, that's a heartbreaker for the Gibbs team because DiBenedetto was involved in that accident with his teammate Brad Coleman last week at Gateway, so was unable to finish. Now you see second place, third place, and fourth place battling here. Stephen Wallace in the 66. That's Paul Menard and the 18 of Kyle Busch as Busch is trying to work the outside around Menard.
Vince, this is what's so great about this racetrack here at ORP. You got the bottom lane, the middle, the top. You see Stephen up on top of the racetrack with a lot of momentum. You see Paul Menard trying to get it going, and here comes Kyle Busch in the picture.
It's this kind of racing that you get on a short track, night in, night out. We always see it at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and we're not surprised that we're seeing it again tonight. And they are going at it from the drop of the green flag this evening. There's Menard pulling ahead, and Busch tried the inside this time with Stephen Wallace getting boxed out on the outside.
The outside lane is the most comfortable. It gives you a little more banking, a little more security. But the fast way is around the bottom of the racetrack. It's more difficult. It takes its toll on the tires, but it's the path you need to take if you're going to make passes.
Sorting out just a bit as Menard is in second, Busch in third, and Stephen Wallace has dropped back to fifth. Trevor Bayne still leads here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. O'Reilly Raceway Park in Indianapolis, NASCAR Nationwide Series action. There's the 22 of Brad Keselowski running in 10th. Got a little front nose damage after the stack him up at the start of the race at the drop of the green flag. But he and Carl Edwards right there behind him in the Fastenal Ford in 11th. Those two guys, for a couple of guys being on probation, they've been around one another all night long. As you see the good battle for fourth place now as Stephen Wallace is being challenged by the 88 of Eric Almirola. Now Almirola's got some pretty significant damage on the front end.
Yeah, on these short tracks, it doesn't take much for these cars to overheat. You saw some damage where it pushed in the opening where they need air for the radiator. It's going to be something to watch as he makes the pass.
Hey, these drivers are already getting a little overheated inside the cockpit. There's been enough damage in the first 23 laps of this race you would think they've been running 300 miles already. These things are tore up. Second place, look at Kyle Busch working with Paul Menard there on the inside. In fact, Kyle Busch has got some fender damage on the left front. A little damage there.
Bush driving it down a little bit deeper into the corner and takes second place away from Paul Menard. They're both chasing Trevor Bayne, who's the leader of this race, and you see the distance between them.
See Justin Allgaier working the inside of Ricky Stenhouse right there. He's been working him lap after lap on the entry of turn 3, trying to get underneath of him. Just can't seem to get there, but he's showing some pretty good patience. In fact, Allgaier's got his nose tore up a little bit right under the front of the hood.
Stenhouse had a good run last week at Gateway, finished 9th, qualified 3rd here tonight for this race. Allgaier, he's already won a short track race this season earlier this year at Bristol, and he's right on the bumper of the 6.
There were so many opportunities for mistakes, to make contact. If you're going to make a pass, you need to establish yourself in the middle of the corner. You need to get alongside a driver in the middle of the corner. Do not try to finish the pass in one turn. If it takes a lap and a half, do it methodically. And Allgaier's doing that. See, he gets positioned in the middle of the corner, maintain that on the exit, and then finish it in the next set of corners.
Yeah, and one thing you got to remember, Ricky, is that this racetrack's going to change a lot too. This cooling down now, the handling is going to change. On the next pit stop, when it's coming up, these guys just need to stay working on their car. Stay patient, stay calm, tell your crew chiefs what's going on and work on the car. Don't drive it too hard right now.
And neither you or I, Rusty, can describe to the folks watching this how busy it is on a small track. Not only are you occupied with the drivers around you and how your car feels, but at some point, like you said, you got to give some feedback. If you're going to make an appropriate adjustment on your car, you got to give some feedback to your crew, and it's hard to do on a short track.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to mention too, this particular track here at ORP with the multiple grooves, you get trapped on the bottom and you can't pass the guy on the outside. And let me tell you, that flat gets you mad. You take a look at the 32 car there, a Reed Sorensen underneath Ricky Stenhouse, lap after lap, he's trying to pass him. He cannot get the forward bite up off the corner, and that makes you mad. Now, Ricky's not doing nothing wrong. That's just what happens here.
That's 8, 9, and 10 battling there. Sorensen was second last week at Gateway, and he's gotten up into the mix now. And tell you what, it's just a matter of time until I think we get the feeling that Reed Sorensen's on the verge of winning a race, because he has been close many times throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, he's done an outstanding job, and something we haven't talked a lot about is brakes, and brakes are a significant issue here at the short track. When you run underneath another car, or a set of cars in this case, you use more brake because you have to slow a little more to prevent from sliding in. You can't do this lap after lap after lap without it taking its toll on the brakes.
Sorensen, one of those double-duty drivers, now nudges ahead of the 6 in Stenhouse. Shannon Spake.
Have been working on balance this weekend, something they've been struggling with on the short tracks all season long with this 32 car. He was also very tight in practice earlier today. So tight, he said, I can hardly even drive it. Guys, we got some great racing on the racetrack right now, but this team is hungry for a win. This crew has been together since 2007, and as a unit, they have never gone to victory lane, so they are pushing Reed, willing him to make a win.
Sorensen right now 8th. Keselowski has moved past the 6 of Stenhouse for 9th. But everybody's chasing the 99 of Trevor Bayne, but it looks like the 18 of Kyle Busch has closed the gap and goes inside of Bayne, trying to take away the lead. Now some lap traffic maybe getting in the way a little bit, going to help out Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Bayne says, no way, I'm not having none of this. I mean, Kyle Busch is one of the best out there, but hey, I'm the pole sitter. I'm holding you back. Run behind me.
I'm going to talk about building confidence, though. He's going door to door with Kyle Busch, and he's aware of it. I can assure you he's aware of it, and he's loving every minute of it.
Trevor Bayne started the race from the pole, just as he did a week ago at Gateway. Had a top 10 finish last week, but they have felt as though they're on the verge maybe of breaking through for that first win. Will it come tonight? Kyle Busch still trying to get underneath Bayne and make it stick, but he hasn't been able to do it so far.
And to complicate matters, you got traffic. So the advantage is with the young guy or the veteran in this case. I favor the veteran because there's just, it's just another obstacle.
Well, Ricky, Trevor's going to school right now. He's got to show a lot of patience. He's got the lap car in front of him. He's got to be careful right there. He's got another, he's going to the outside now. He's going to try to work that outside. And then he's got the 10 car of Derek Griffin in front of him right there, who had to start tailback because he made some adjustments.
An 18-year-old rookie making his first nationwide series start, and he's got those guys breathing down his neck. Now they're going to get around the 10 of Griffin and the 81 of McDowell, and Trevor Bayne still trying to work around the outside of the 10 car with Kyle Busch following him.
Trevor did an outstanding job. In that situation, you got two choices. You make something happen, or you wait for something to happen. He waited. The 81 came down. He took advantage of it.
This is lap 36 of 200, and it has been fierce from the drop of the green, and they stacked about 4 cars up on the green flag on the outside line, and several cars with damage already. Matt DiBenedetto, Jason Leffler, all have been damaged. Justin Allgaier's got a little bit of damage as well, but really at this point, the biggest damage belongs to Leffler and DiBenedetto up front. They might have a little fender damage, but Kyle Busch doesn't seem to be any worse for the wear.
Well, Kyle Busch car's still handling real well right now. Like I said earlier, he's got a bent up left front fender, which helps create a lot of downforce. We saw his right front tire, all the Goodyear markings wore off it, so he's already had this 18 car in some tight quarters.
Side by side, a little bit of rubbing between the 18 and the 99. Can Kyle make it stick, or is Trevor Bayne going to hold on? But Busch has been trying to get down below him and make it stick off the corner, but just hasn't been able to, as Bayne has a little better drive off the outside.
I expect Kyle, if he can maintain that, will drive deep into the turn, low, and try to drift up in front of him.
Or use his bumper.
But, you know, again, that will come back to haunt you. Even if it's a young driver, even though he's thinking, look, I can learn from Kyle.
Finally, Kyle Busch takes the lead, but Bayne tries to cross over and come back down below. It's not going to happen. Well, Kyle Busch has led a lap at every race he's run in this year, and he's going to lead this lap as well at Raceway Park. Tonight, we're at O'Reilly Raceway Park, but tomorrow it's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. The Brickyard 400, presented by Golden Corral. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern. Coverage starts at noon Eastern with countdown. The Mopar Mile High NHRA Nationals, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. The finals. And the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Iowa, 1 week from tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Good battle for 7th between Justin Allgaier and Reed Sorensen. Allgaier, the black car, number 12. Sorensen, the yellow, number 32. Good look at him. And Stephen Wallace has been in that mix much of the night as well. Now, Allgaier tries to poke underneath Wallace a little bit. No love lost there between the 12 and the 66. And does that come into play, Ricky, when you're out there on the track, a little past history?
Well, depending on how you treat one another. I mean, drivers can get over things like that. But I'll tell you what, it comes back quick also, particularly if you get used up or you feel like you got used up, and that can happen pretty quick here.
Hey, that is some tight quarter racing right there. Hornaday, Wallace, Allgaier, Sorensen. I mean, that is short track racing at its best. See Steven slipping and sliding up off of turn 2 right there, getting down into 3 now. And they've been running, like this lap after lap, and this really tests your patience. That high side, that bottom lane will drive you crazy, and that's what these guys are dealing with right now.
A fourth of the way through, lap 50 of 200, and we have been green the entire way. As you look out the front window of Justin Allgaier in the Verizon car, Verizon Wireless customers, text CHAMPION to 43776 for exclusive Champion Chats content from our NASCAR Now Roundtable experts. Allgaier in 7th. Reed Sorensen right behind him in 8th. Stephen Wallace is there. There's the 22 of Brad Keselowski. He's running 9th. Let's get more on what's happening with Stephen Wallace. Rick DeBrule.
Well, Stephen Wallace coming off the great finish last week in Gateway where he finished 5th. Remember, a year ago, he also finished 5th at this particular race. Talking with Scott McDowell, his crew chief, he said they brought what they consider their best short track chassis. It's car number 42. They felt very confident coming here, both off of that and together with the fact that they just have the confidence in this particular car. And they also feel that Steve Wallace is good on short track. This is where he should excel. And right now, he's doing it right where he belongs.
And Rusty, this program, and it's your program, so I know you know, top 15 finishes the last 7 races for Steven. What's been the, that little something that's gotten him over the hump of late?
I think Vince, he's just maturing. He's getting to be a better race car driver. He understands the big picture. Knows he's got to drive hard, but he's got to bring it home. And I think that's it. Plus the testing we've been doing probably helped the team a little bit. Quite a bit. A lot.
Describe something for you guys. That the 12 car, or any one of these guys here, the 12 car, for instance, when he's behind Steven, will reference the wall. That's his distance. that he can let the car drift. He'll use up every inch of racetrack because there's speed in that. But when you get alongside another driver, then you have to reference the car to your outside, and that's when the work begins, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then one thing that could, you're exactly right, Ricky, but one thing that could enter into this is one of the only racetracks that we run at where the walls, as you exit the corner, the walls dip down, and they're very, very low. They're low walls, probably the lowest in all of NASCAR racing. And the drivers I talk to say sometimes when you come off the corner, you can't see the wall. You're looking over top of the wall.
So you lose that. You lose that
it.
reference.
Absolutely.
Good battle there with the 98 of Menard being followed by Almirola and the 33 of Hornaday, who won the truck race last night. He's coming around, and Hornaday and Ernie Cope, the crew chief, they worked together on that winning truck last night in the Camping World Truck Series, and they're working together tonight on this Nationwide car.
And they got a lot of confidence in what they won that truck race with as it relates to suspension, because they took the shocks off the truck and bolted them onto this car. So Hornaday is expecting the same as what he got last night.
Up in the front, it's the 18 of Kyle Busch. You shouldn't be surprised, should you? It's the fourth time Busch has led here, and he's won here at O'Reilly Raceway Park twice. The action has been fast and furious at O'Reilly Raceway Park tonight here for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Want to remind you to make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Get the latest on what's happening, not just tonight, but also tomorrow night with the Brickyard 400 and then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. See that on ESPN tomorrow, beginning with the countdown show at 12 noon. Good look at Stephen Wallace, who's running 8th in his battle with Reed Sorensen. Sorensen trying to get up underneath the 66, but just hasn't quite had the drive off the corner to do it. And Brad Keselowski, who's moved into 7th, has put a little distance between themselves now. Guys, this is a long green flag run, 65 laps into it, and still no caution.
It is definitely longer than I thought it would be. The tires are starting to wear a little bit. Patience is starting to wear on these cars a little bit too. And they have been bumper to bumper, lap after lap. I'm not talking about these three. I'm talking about everybody. And they can't get away from each other. And the top side of this racetrack starting to come in, Ricky, and it looks like that's the preferred line right now.
How about the 15 of Michael Annett? He has moved all the way up to 12th position. He's picked up 15 spots tonight. So started 27th, all the way up to 12th. His car's got to be working.
And it really means something when you say that, and it's all under green. You know, as opposed to getting some on pit road or getting some on a restart. He did all of that under green. And we're reaching a point, Rusty, where these things, the cars are starting to drop off with the tire wear. They're not going to drive very well. They're going to hear some complaining. And the crew chiefs have to dissect that and, you know, decide what is your biggest problem. Is it middle of the corner? Is it forward bite or rear grip on the exit of the corner? Because the next stop might determine whether you win or lose, or at least contend for the race or not.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. And one thing I'm starting to see right now, though, look at Michael Nutt. He's been our biggest mover, up 15 positions, and I'm starting to see the front brakes starting to get cherry red. That means he's really driving this thing hard, and that's where you got to really baby these brakes. You don't want to tear them up too early.
Another one on the move is Joe Nemechek in the 87. He's picked up 12 spots. He's currently running in the 20th position. One of those double-duty guys. He'll start 33rd at the Brickyard 400 tomorrow. There's the 87 of Nemechek. Knows his way around this place, too.
He does. He's a former winner here. He's a former champion. And, you know, we're at a point here where the tires, again, are getting harder and harder. As they build pressure, they feel awful. And that experience, I think, is going to favor these veteran drivers. Joe definitely knows how to get around here. And the car looks good. He's taking care of it. Looks clean.
70 of 200 laps in the books. We had a stack up on the outside lane at the green flag. Cars were damaged, but no yellow has come out. We've been green all the way, and Kyle Busch is your leader. Pole winner Trevor Bayne led the first 39 laps, but since then it's been that man, Kyle Busch. He has led 36 and counting. Points leader Brad Keselowski currently running 7th. He's been mired in traffic. We've got a yellow is out, and we've got contact here on the front straight. Derek Griffin in the 10 car for Braun Racing had to start at the back tonight because of some changes before the green, and it looks like his night has gone from bad to worse. He'd actually picked up about 14 spots after starting from the back. 18-year-old from South Bend, Indiana, one of the Hoosiers in the field here in this race, but significant damage there on the right side and the front end.
Yeah, just like you said, Vince, you got to go tailback at the start of this race for some unapproved changes, and that could be anything. It could be, transmissions, air dams, whatever they had to do, but he did have to start this thing in the back, and obviously didn't get this car handling too good. And another thing, these guys are about out of tires. These tires were really getting down, a lot of cars slipping and sliding, and I'm sure that was part of it.
So you had Kyle Busch knocking them down here. Big relief for the drivers that qualified back in the pack because, there are only 17 cars on the lead lap at this point.
Let's take a look at the replay here and see if we can pick out what happened to the 10 of Griffith.
Yeah, you can tell there's nobody around him. He just loses it up off at turn 4. He gets loose and comes across and clobbers the inside wall and tears that number 10 car up pretty good. But just classic case of getting loose. Cars getting out from underneath you, and it's getting pretty slippery here tonight.
Rusty, none of these drivers had 77 laps on their tires in practice, so they, that's a part of it.
Now, it's pretty hard to go out there and practice something like this. You try to do 20 and 30 lap runs, and if the car's not right, you come down and make some changes. But that's a problem of just not getting a car handling right.
There's Jason Keller, the 35 car. He's the lucky dog in this instance, and you see as Kyle Busch peels off, he's coming to pit lane, and just about everybody's going to be looking for a little help on the tires. Mike Massaro.
Kyle Busch complaining, Vince, that the car's just a little bit too tight. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Can go one round up. Also an air pressure adjustment on the 18 car. 4 tires and Sunoco racing fuel to Kyle Busch's car. Rick.
Trevor Brain brings it in. They're going to have a problem. They've had a problem with the rear. He wants them to tighten it up, get it back where it belongs. This is the longest they run. They said this is doing what it was doing after it was doing it for 40 miles. Shannon?
Paul Menard in the center of your screen, loose in, loose off. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, track bar and fuel. Bottom of your screen, Eric Almirola in the 88 car auditioning for that ride says, I need to roll the center better. It's going to be an air pressure and 4 tires for Eric Almirola.
Here's the position changes on our Nationwide Insurance race off pit road. Ron Hornaday picked up 2, and Eric Almirola, as they were trying to pull out that fender, lost 5. All of them on the ride, taking 4 here at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
A top fuel dragster is 8,000 horsepower, looking for a place to go, as they did for Steve Torrence. And for Corey McLenithan, at Connecting Rods, looking for their freedom. Top funny car qualifier John Force has it all together, leading the points with a possible 15th championship on the horizon. Coverage tomorrow on ESPN2.
Boys, let's go get it.
We've had some great action on the track tonight. Now a little great action in the pits with Mark Hollywood Armstrong on this 66 pit stop.
Come on, boys, let's go. Get it on out of there. Go get you some of that. Woo!
He doesn't get excited, does he?
Nobody doesn't like Hollywood, right?
That's the reason he's got that nickname. He is a good tire changer, and he gets animated. He's excited about this stuff. He gets into it big time.
Great stuff from Hollywood there as the 66 having a good run tonight. 9th on the track and a solid pit stop as well. The pace car is off. Trevor Bayne on the inside. Kyle Busch, the leader, on the outside on the restart. Back green at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
You see a pretty good green start right there. 3 wide already off of turn 2. See Carl Edwards down there. Ron Hornaday up in there. Paul Menard.
Cars just don't feel that great on low air pressure. They bounce around a little bit. Oscillate.
Bayne coming back on the inside. Takes it away from Kyle Busch.
And boy, that's a power move right there out of Bayne. I mean, this is where he passed him on the inside of the racetrack, Vince. That usually doesn't happen. Kyle's up there guarding that top, and Trevor said, heck with that. I'm going to the bottom, man, and just checks out on him.
But Kyle's car doesn't look right. Kyle's car looks like it's fading.
Certainly Bayne putting a little space between the two, and Busch did not take off certainly as he would have hoped, as Trevor Bayne made that move to take the lead, and now Ron Hornaday puts a little pressure on the back of the 18, and here's Brad Keselowski trying to get underneath the 98 of Paul Menard for fourth.
Keselowski's car looks really good right now. He's had this pit stop in order to tune on this thing to get it handling better. And Ricky, you talked about not looking good. I agree with you. But one thing that's different, this particular tire is very close to what they had at Gateway last week. The minimum right front air pressure at Gateway was 30 pounds. Here it's all the way down to 23 pounds. So it's going to take a while for this air pressure to build up.
Yeah, but typically, Rusty, an indication of a little higher air pressure or having the right amount of air pressure is the restarts. Kyle got an outstanding restart. So it was kind of odd that the second lap, the car faded like it did.
Points leader Brad Keselowski running in fourth. Let's go down to Shannon Spade. Shannon.
Guys, Brad Keselowski involved in that early wreck when we first started the race and everybody checked up. He was not complaining about any damage, but he was complaining about tight conditions. They made a track bar adjustment on that last pit stop to try to help him out.
You know that the pit stops came because of the yellow with Derek Griffin and the contact with the wall. Should point out that the 09 of Kevin Hamlin, the 24 of Eric McLaren, the 38 of Jason Leffler all got the wave around. Mentioned that the 35 of Jason Keller had the lucky dog. It's the 66 of Stephen Wallace running in 10th.
Hey, you take a look at Carl Edwards up there, Vince. It looks like this thing is really starting to come alive right now. It looks like Carl has got this car handling better. He didn't have a great qualifying run, but right now the 60 car of Edwards is starting to come alive as he's working the top of this racetrack, hunting for grip.
That's Allgaier in front of the 60 of Edwards. Let's go back to Shannon again on the 60.
Well, guys, Carl Edwards' team got a little bit aggressive on that pit stop. They did take a rubber out of the right rear. He was really struggling with the handling, loose off, loose in, and tight in the center. Tight in the center is what they were struggling with in practice earlier. They felt they had, if Carl Edwards goes for a little ride there, they thought they had figured it out, but once it's race start, he was struggling with that. So a little bit aggressive on that last pit stop.
Well, and with Eric Darnell practicing that car and Edwards just getting a couple of laps in it this afternoon and then qualifying it, he indicated he thought it might take him a little while to get the car where they wanted it to be.
Those aren't perfect circumstances, obviously, and so a bit of a compromise. You got two drivers. They have no two drivers are the same, and you know we talk a lot about that first adjustment. Why the first adjustment's so critical, particularly at a short track like this, is because their last reference, this is their first adjustment since they were practicing in the sunlight. So as the track's cooling down, the car's changing dramatically.
Trevor Bayne in the 99 out in front of Kyle Busch. In fact, Bayne has led 48 laps tonight. That's more laps than he's ever led in a Nationwide Series race before. As you see Keselowski challenging now in the 33 of Hornaday. Keselowski and Hornaday battling for third.
Tell you what, I got to give a shout out to Trevor. I mean, he's hanging tough. He's looking really good. These guys have not rattled his cage at all. He's been strong. He's been driving this car right. And Bayne's been up front. I mean, him and Kyle Busch most of their time. And I tell you what, he's roughed it up with Kyle. He's done a good job hanging on.
He has, Rusty. And I got to agree with you. The point you made a few minutes ago is that this air pressure, I think, did get the best of Kyle. As the tires are building up, the car seems to be coming back to life. And it's going to get exciting, I think, among four drivers here real shortly.
Well, that's a great battle right there. You got 1 and 2, Bayne and Busch, and 3 and 4 is Keselowski and Hornaday. Not hard to find good battles on this short track, but right now Trevor Bayne is in front at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Back at O'Reilly Raceway Park, race number 20 on the NASCAR Nationwide Series season schedule, and Kyle Busch has retaken the lead from Trevor Bayne. And let's take a look at this pass. He worked him and worked him and worked him and finally got him.
Oh, Kyle Busch he hasn't roughed him up at all, but boys, look close many times, just like you said, working on the inside. He's not spinning tires up off the corner. Right there, it just squirts right through the center, and then the car slows down a little bit. Trevor gets back to him, but you know that's all you had to do is just get down in these long corners, stab the throttle once, jump out there, and that was enough to give him the pass.
Well, Ricky Trevor bobbled one time, and he got eaten up right away. Not just Kyle Busch, but Hornaday got him, Keselowski got him, and he dropped 2 or 3 positions real quick.
There's no shame to losing a position to Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday, or Brad Keselowski. He's getting some great experience. And Rusty, you made a great point during the commercial when we were talking. You know, you have short-run cars and long-run cars. And what that means is that a car might run fast for 30 laps, but if you have that, you're going to have to give something up on the other end. You can see the 99 is doing that.
It is. And you know what they want? They want both, Ricky. They want to have a long-run car and a short-run car. And I wouldn't doubt if they get down to like 10 laps to go and they throw some tires on this thing, they might pump the air pressure up just a little bit so it run quicker.
Ron Hornaday and that Kevin Harvick car, the 33, has just taken over second place. And we mentioned that when the 99 and Trevor Bayne bobbled, Hornaday took advantage of it. And that's a veteran move right there. Got up underneath the 99, and he's won here in the Nationwide Series. He's won here in the Truck Series. When Kevin Harvick steps out of the seat and he puts a guy like Ron Hornaday in it, you know, you're not losing a whole lot. Shannon Spake is following the 33 of Ron Hornaday.
Ron Hornaday winning last night in the Truck Series truck race, as we've already discussed. I spoke with his crew chief, Ernie Koch, earlier today. He told me the truck wasn't that good until they came down on a lap 86 and made an air pressure adjustment, and then the truck really took off. Well, guys, guess what the 33 did on that last pit stop? Yep, they made an air pressure adjustment, and right now Ron Hornaday is really taking off on the racetrack.
Well, if Hornaday would happen to win tonight, a Truck and Nationwide Series sweep in the same weekend, not like it's never been done before. Kyle Busch has done it 4 times. Greg Biffle's done it once before, but it'd still be a heck of an accomplishment as you see the series points leader Brad Keselowski dive down underneath the 33 of Hornaday. Look at this battle. Keselowski digging.
Yeah, but Kevin Harvick's got the right guy behind the wheel right now to hold Brad off. Hornaday won this truck race, like we said. He knows how to do it. And Kevin Harvick was here the other night, but I don't think he's here tonight running that big race at the Brickyard. He needs to be back at home with his PJs on, watching him, getting ready for that big race tomorrow. But he's got the right guy driving that 33.
Eric Almirola had some problems on pit road, lost 5 spots. He's gaining those back on the track. You love to see that. That's a show of strength with his car.
Trevor Bayne has slipped back to 4th, and that was Almirola in 5th, putting a little pressure on. But here's a tight one. It looked like a little loose rear end there by Hornaday, but Keselowski still being held at bay. That's the battle for second.
We've been dominated all day about the probation and the penalties, but as it relates to Brad Keselowski, probation doesn't exist. All he's focused on right now is hitting his marks, getting back to the accelerator, letting the car drift. It does not exist right now, and it will not exist until the checkered flag flies.
You know, when you're trying to get the fastest lap around the racetrack and get your car handling good and talking to your crew about the setup, the last thing that's on your mind is probation. It does become on your mind when you run into somebody. Then you think about it, but not right now.
So on the left side, you got the battle for second there between Ron Hornaday and Brad Keselowski. And then on the right side is the 88 of Eric Almirola and Trevor Bayne. That's the battle for 4th.
We talked about what gets you in trouble on short tracks. Another thing that will get you in trouble is when you feel like a driver in front of you is holding you up, right? And you feel like I'm much faster than him and he's just holding me back. That may or may not be the case here with Ron Hornaday and Brad Keselowski, but it's an element. And you're going to see here, if you can get along beside me typically, you earned it, and Hornaday surrendered.
Keselowski just worked him and worked him and worked him, and finally when they came off turn 2 there, made the pass, and so now Keselowski comes across the start-finish line in second as he heads down into 1 and 2. Keselowski on the chase. He's chasing last year's series champion, Kyle Busch. O'Reilly Raceway Park. Let's get caught up on what's happened so far with the 5-hour Energy Rapid recap. We had them stacking up at the start, the 98, the 88, Keselowski. But the man who got the worst damage was that guy, the 38 of Jason Leffler. And you know, we talked about probation between Keselowski and Edwards. Man, they battled early tonight, and they were side by side, lap after lap, but they stayed clean, and that's been the key. Trevor Bayne led from the pole early on. In fact, he's led more than 50 laps tonight, but Kyle Busch got past him, and Kyle has owned the front for the most laps this evening. He's been out front for 62 laps. And Ron Hornaday, last night's truck winner, he's in the mix as well. A good battle there with Brad Keselowski. Hornaday currently running third. And now the yellow waves. We've got debris on the track and a caution. It lets everybody take their breath a little bit, right?
Yeah, and also this is a key pit stop right here. This racetrack has went through its complete transition now. They made one pit stop. They know if they were right or wrong in that last stop. Now these guys need to correct it, and I'll tell you why. This race is flying by. We're already 120 laps into 200, and they know they got to get it right now because they might not have many chances left, Vince.
We had that long green flag run at the start, and you got to anticipate that maybe this is the last chance you're going to get.
They've used one set of tires. They've got 3 to work with. I expect they're going to use the second set here.
So again, the caution is for debris, just the second caution that we've had tonight, and Mike Bliss is going to get that free pass in the 40 car. The first caution was the 10 car, the Braun Racing car. Derek Griffin got into the wall right here along the front straight.
Well, Ricky, look at all the debris on top of the racetrack. You want to get high here, but not that high. If you get those right side tires up in that stuff, you can't get it off. You see this car slipping and sliding, going to the back of the pack when they get too high. It takes them about 2 or 3 laps to get that junk off your tire. But on a short track, that's pretty common.
It is, and you can hear it first. You can hear it beat on the inside of the crush panels, and you can get away with that. But after that is when you get a little higher, and that's when you hit the wall. You slide and hit the wall, and you say, I won't do that again.
How many times have you done that? You said, I got a flat tire. I got a flat tire. And the crew chief says, stay going. Make sure.
Can't count that high.
They're starting to peel off. The 18 of Kyle Busch is the leader. Mike Massaro.
Vince, Jason Radcliffe asked Kyle what he needs. He said he still needs to turn a little bit better. They're going to pull a spring rubber from the left rear. Also, they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel on the leader's car. Otherwise, Kyle pretty happy with his machine. Rick?
Trevor Bayne at one point thought he may have even had a tire going down the rear and was so loose. They're going to make some track bar adjustments, air pressure adjustments in the front. He says it's loose in and loose off. They're afraid of doing too much, though, because they don't want to lose too much. Shannon?
Ron Hornaday in the 33 center of your screen says I need to roll the center. It's going to be 4 tires air pressure for Ron Hornaday. At the bottom, your points leader, Brad Keselowski, they've told him rain is about 20 miles away. They're going to take 4 tires air pressure and track bar for Brad Keselowski.
Now the race off pit road. Look at the movers. Michael Annett took 2 and picked up 10 spots. The 40 was the lucky dog, and these guys are maybe going to the end, huh? NASCAR nationwide action at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Back at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Baseball tonight coming up next, and of course tomorrow night it's the Cubs and the Cardinals. With some good rivalries there. If it was racing, that'd be some rubbing, wouldn't it? Cardinals and the Cubs. Lou Piniella in his final year as the manager of the Cubs. The Detroit Tigers and the Tampa Bay Rays on Monday night. Some great baseball action coming your way on ESPN. Well, we've had some great action tonight here at O'Reilly Raceway Park as well. We've had a couple of slower pit stops. The 99 of Trevor Bayne. You guys see a little hang up here on the 99?
Let's take a look at this. Right front's looking good so far. Oh, it's a slow in the right front. Looks like he's having a problem right there. Okay, the problem in the right front for Trevor Bayne. That's what it was. Just a little slow, guys.
Now we're getting ready to go back green here, and you see Kyle Busch. He's the leader on the outside. Ron Hornaday on the inside. The restart is underway, and Busch jumps out in front.
These are 2 of the best in the business at restarts. Ron Hornaday and Kyle Busch.
The 88 of Eric Almirola slips into that 3rd spot. With Keselowski and Trevor Bayne chasing. There's Carl Edwards getting back up into the mix. Edwards has just been lurking a little bit tonight. He started 42nd and came through to win last year. Didn't have to start that far back tonight, but he's not been running up in the front either.
And these guys are aggressive on these restarts. I saw a lot of cars really using the apron up. Crash.
Big contact in turn 1.
Jason Keller, I see in it. 43 car Kevin Swindell.
Looks like Swindell's got the worst of it as Keller is able to drive away. Heavy damage there for Swindell, the son of 3-time World of Outlaws champ Sammy Swindell. There's the damage on the Keller car. Fairly significant.
Vince, I would never say that I told you so, but...
But you're going to tell us that you told us so.
No, I didn't. But, I mean, every race on a short track, we see these tensions start to heat up. And here we are, lap 128. And I'm starting to see a sense of urgency. A lot of these drivers saw them on the apron already a little while ago. Watched a couple cars go down and touch the grass getting into turn one. Let's take a look at his replays and see what we can see happen to Kevin Swindell and Keller.
Going to see it out of the front end of Brian Scott here, and Scott's got a good view of it. Looks like maybe Swindell got into Keller a little bit and then just drove it in on him. Looks some sparks underneath.
They got together off of 4, and I think the 43 actually had a right front go down going into turn 1.
Because you see the sparks coming out of the back end when we saw that replay out of the view of Brian Scott.
Yeah, it appears to me as though either that he got on the brake really hard, but the problem appeared to be on corner entry.
Well, this yellow is a good break for the 9 cars that took the wave around on that previous yellow. They're going to have an opportunity to get some service. But bad news for Jason Keller. He goes to the garage. Kyle Busch still leads. Racing everywhere you turn in Indianapolis this weekend. Of course, the Brickyard 400 tomorrow at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and tonight it's NASCAR Nationwide Series action here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. There's the 18 of the car of Kyle Busch. He's the leader, but maybe a problem. Let's go to Mike Massaro and check it out. Mike?
Yeah, Vince, it sounds like there's a lot of concern here in the 18 camp. Just as that caution flag waved, Kyle radioed in to Jason Radcliffe saying, "You won't believe this, but I think I have a loose wheel." Now, Radcliffe polled his team, asking the tire changers what they thought. He told Kyle that they felt pretty confident they got all the lug nuts tight. Asked him how confident he is that the tire or the wheel is loose. He said it really feels that way. Radcliffe has 4 tires ready to be bolted on that race car, but he's leaving the decision in the hands of his driver whether or not he wants to relinquish the lead and come down pit road.
What do you do, Rusty?
Well, they got to look at the replay tapes on their pit stop and see if there's anything looks funny right there. And then if it does, maybe if the left front, right rear, whatever, then they need to isolate that one. But that's a scary problem right now.
Well, we're going to find out pretty quickly. We're about ready to go back green on the restart. There's Busch, the leader, on the outside, and Ron Hornaday runs along the inside. The green flag waves, and we're back at it at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Trevor Bayne coming around the outside, trying to sneak up on the side of the 33, and that's Eric Almirola following the first 3 up front.
If this race comes down to a 20-lap sprint, the 99 car looks like the car to beat. He's very fast on the short run.
Yeah, Trevor really gets to go on a short one, but you see,
contact between Hornaday and Busch.
You got to remember one thing. Hornaday ran this race last night. He knows what this track's going to do. It's going to tighten up or what's going to happen. And I will promise you, Ron Hornaday is not scared of anybody. He'll drive the wheels off this thing.
Well, it looked like Hornaday was so preoccupied with holding back the 99, he got into the 18. Now Trevor Bayne tries to go underneath Hornaday this time as they charge down into turn 1.
It looks like the 33 got some damage out of that. His right front fender is pushed in considerably, Rusty. That's not going to help.
Absolutely. That 33's got the right front fender caved in a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's going to affect it a whole lot, but any front end damage, okay.
Rubbing doors again along the backstretch. The 99 and the 33. Trevor Bayne, the pole sitter in the 99. Ron Hornaday won the truck race last night. He's in the 33. Hornaday trying to hold him off. Rick DeBrule on the 99.
Yeah, during the last pit stop, they made some changes. He was concerned because it was loose in and loose out. During that last yellow, he radioed back to the crew. He said, I think we've got it. I think it's a little tight in the center, but he thinks that they did the right job. It's interesting. When you talk with Trevor Bayne, sometimes it's easy to forget he's just 19 years old. And the way he's entered this race, looking at last year's race, he says he's learned a lot, and he was ready to put it to good use.
It's a great point, Rick. He sure isn't looking like a 19-year-old with only a handful of races under his belt. He's mixing it up with the best, handling himself well. You can tell the car's loose because you can see him get real light getting in the corner. You know, the back of the car getting light or getting out from underneath him.
Hornaday's led 55, or excuse me, Bayne has led 55 laps tonight, but as Bayne and the 33 of Hornaday battle, Kyle Busch stretches it out a little, and now we've got Almirola in 4th, Keselowski in 5th, and there's Carl Edwards in 6th.
And you know how I see this, guys? I see this as an opportunity for the 22 and the 60 to gain credibility with one another. We can talk about where does this end forever until the cows come home. It ends when these two decide it ends.
Well, you knew sooner or later they're going to have to catch each other during the racing and have to race each other. It took a long time for Carl to get to Brad, but now he's there. Let's see what happens. And Carl's just working the bottom of this racetrack, and you see Brad up top holding their own lanes. But Carl's had a good car. It's took a long time to get his car handled right, but I believe he's there now, guys.
They raced side by side for several laps early in the race, and both raced one another very cleanly. And now as the race starts getting into that second half, in fact, almost 3/4 of the way through, we'll see if it gets a little tighter.
Yeah, an opportunity to prove to one another that you can race each other without taking advantage of one another, and at one of the most difficult tracks on the schedule.
Kyle Busch has opened up that lead a little bit more now, almost a second and a half, with Ron Hornaday second, and then 2/10 behind Hornaday is Bain. A little further back is Bain. Now we've got contact between the 21 and the 05. Morgan Shepherd involved in this one. David Starr in the 05.
Tell you what, guys, this is a perfect opportunity to come down to right side tires in this thing. If your car's not right, you got to adjust it again. I don't believe I do forward in this one, Ricky. It's getting late in the event, and they haven't run long enough. So if anybody makes pit stops, 2 tires are probably going to be the right call.
So the question is, back to Kyle Busch, how concerned is he? Did that dissipate?
Mike, has Kyle Busch changed his mind? Does he think the wheels are on nice and snug?
Well, Vince, we haven't heard him say anything about the wheel being loose since that last caution time. One thing he did say, however, after Ron Hornaday got into the side of him, got a little bit anxious. He said to his team, he said, have left sides ready. I think I might have cut a tire down. Well, they've run several laps since then. Jason Ratcliffe looked at the tire through his spotter and told Kyle that it looks like it's still up. So it doesn't look like there's much concern on the left tire, but certainly a lot on the mind of Kyle Busch right now.
I'll tell you, take a look at the right front fender, though, Ron Hornaday. That's my concern right there. I mean, you get that fender bent, and it makes the car not handle too good. And it's awful close to that tire, Ricky. I mean, it's not rubbing on the track, but boy, it looks like it could here.
Yeah, and 2 things that come to mind. First, what did it do to the car? Did it affect the car?
Here's what brought out the caution from just a moment ago. There's Starr up high, and Morgan Shepherd looks like maybe just got caught up in it.
Yeah, the tire came apart. You saw the tire separate. Nothing Morgan could do.
Yeah, David Starr looks like the tire just evidently had some contact. Starr did. And you saw the tire actually come off the wheel, get into turn 1 for David Starr, and that was his problem.
And low air pressure can do that.
Absolutely can, yeah. You can roll a tire right off the bead and have a problem.
Michael McDowell got the free pass in the 81.
Back to the point I was making with the 33 is that, how does it affect the car? And then the other thing is if they do make another stop, how much will it slow down their pit stop having to pull that back out?
Well, it's not going to make it any quicker, that's for sure. So, and anytime you got a bent fender, and it's not good, Rick, he just might have to deal with this thing, because I was looking at his lap speeds, and he was awful close to the leader, Kyle Busch. So it didn't appear to be hurting him that much.
There's the 81 McDowell going around on the drive around. This is a unique racetrack because it's so small. The haulers are all outside the track, so you have to work on your car inside in the infield. Well, that creates some challenges, and more on that. Let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Here at ORP, we don't have the luxury of bringing our transporters inside the racetrack. So we've got to have the guys bring every part and piece we might need to put behind the wall, because if we crash the race car, it doesn't matter if it's an upper control arm, brake caliper, any suspension component, rear trailing arms. We have to be ready to put our car back together to enable us to get back in the race to get more points.
Well, we saw some teams dealing with that right out of the gate. Matt DiBenedetto, Jason Leffler both took pretty big hits on that stack 'em up at the green flag tonight. But anytime your truck is parked outside and you're wanting to work on the car inside, that's going to create some issues. Don't forget tomorrow, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Just up the road at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's the Brickyard 400 presented by Golden Corral. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, countdown at 12 noon Eastern Time. The Mopar Mile High NHRA Nationals. The finals tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. And NASCAR Nationwide Series action at Iowa 1 week from tonight. Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Boy, they put on a good show here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and they put on a good show at Iowa, too. That's a can't miss. Now we're getting ready for this restart here. The pace car is off. The 60 and the 22, by the way, starting next to one another on this restart, 3 rows back.
Really being tested tonight, aren't they?
Seems like it always happens that way. The guy you've been roughing up is side by side with you now. Now you got to deal with him.
Kyle Busch on the restart likes that high line. He's chosen the outside each time, and it's worked for him again as he takes the lead down in through 1 and 2 and along the backstretch. Stacking up behind him. Hornaday on the outside, Trevor Bayne on his quarter panel, and there's Keselowski and Almirola, Carl Edwards, all in that mix.
And these guys on restarts, they strike like rattlesnakes. They just jump on each other while they're getting as good on the tires, and then all of a sudden that tire wears a little bit, and they line back up. These restarts have been unbelievable.
That's a great point. Your best opportunity is on cool tires. So, Rusty, when they get hotter, they lose grip.
Keep an eye on this. Something's got to give. You see Braun on the outside, Colin Brown and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the inside. Those are teammates. Mike Bliss trying to get in the mix as well in the 40.
I thought Mike Bliss was going to pit road.
He was way down below the yellow line, and there's the 7 car of Josh Wise and the 15 of Michael Annett. Watch the 6.
Whoa!
Right into the 32. Sorensen will remember that one.
So Reed had a handful on that one. Let's take another look at this. Ooh, look at Brad Keselowski. He gets loose and this roughs up Trevor Bayne, but hey, that was innocent. That's what happens when you lose that downforce. You just get sideways. That's short track racing.
And Bayne kept him from getting into the wall there. He was the buffer. Nothing has changed up front. It's Kyle Busch, and he has stretched it out to almost a second over Ron Hornaday. Brendan Gaughan starting to charge his way up through the field. He's now running in 6th, started 21st. He's picked up 15 spots, Rusty.
We've been watching Gaughan. His car is getting better as the night goes on, and we all know that Brendan loves working the top side of that racetrack. This type of track favors his driving style, and he's got that South Point Casino car handling very good right now.
Kyle Busch leads, Hornaday in 2nd, Brad Keselowski 3rd, Eric Almirola is 4th. So 3 of the top 4 guys were in the truck race last night. Coincidence?
Well, it hasn't hurt them. Anytime you get more experience on a track, Vince, I've got to believe that's good, especially if you had a short track, a night race, and you're on the same tire. It's got to help.
I say a lot transfers between the trucks and the Nationwide cars, too.
Particularly when you have a winning setup, right? So that you have the confidence to take that package and transfer it to this car. And it benefited them in practice, qualified reasonable, and they're contending for the win. That's Ron Hornaday.
The 99 of Trevor Bayne and the 12 of Justin Allgaier. They're going wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper for 7th.
Vince, I'll tell you, Trevor has really shown some incredible patience tonight. He has been beat and banged and slid and knocked all around the racetrack, and he just keeps on going straight. Looks like he hasn't overheated inside the car, at least inside that helmet he hasn't. Doing a good job. I've said it 4 or 5 times tonight, but how much can he take?
Allgaier's already won at a short track this year. He won at Bristol, his lone Nationwide Series victory. He hasn't shown tonight that he's got a car capable of winning yet, but when you start moving your way up into the top 5, we've still got 47 laps to go. There's time, because especially if we get another restart, which is likely as close as everybody's running, we get another caution. Never know what might happen.
When you see a driver dive to the bottom like Allgaier did, he's looking for front grip. He's looking for something that he didn't have the lap before.
Trevor Bayne was our pole winner. He's led 55 laps tonight, but right now he's trying to hold off Allgaier for 7th.
Hornaday.
Back at O'Reilly Raceway Park, where Ron Hornaday has just had an incident. You see the 31 and also the 33 has been involved in that. Heavy damage on the right side. So the 31 of J.C. Stout, the 33 of Ron Hornaday. We'll see if those two were related, the contact, because that is a big blow to Hornaday. He had been running 2nd.
Yeah, I don't know if he's blew a right front tire yet. We'll take a look in a little bit and try to find out. But, you know, we do know he had a lot of right front tire damage, or fender damage. It was laying very close to the right front tire. That could have been the problem. We'll have to wait and see. But that car is tore up big time, Ricky.
Track bar is dragging, so they're going behind the wall, obviously.
That's too bad. Great run.
Take a look at the replay as you see him working on J.C. Stout to get him out of the car. On the onboard with Ron Hornaday.
Oh, hear the tire go? Ugh, a sick feeling. Blew a right front tire going into turn 3. Obviously, that right front fender was tearing that tire up, and it finally bit him.
He'd had a little contact with Trevor Bain on that right front several laps ago, and Rusty, you speculated maybe that could be something that eventually would cause a problem, and it looks like that's been the case.
Well, Vince, I didn't see any smoke coming off that right front tire to indicate to me that it was going to have a problem, but obviously it did.
David Starr is going to get the free pass, but the pit's closed for the moment while they tend to the 31 of J.C. Stout. Hornaday was able to drive his car back on pit lane and back behind the wall.
Even though it wasn't rubbing, it still has an effect on the balance of the car. So if he picks up a tight condition, it's only going to get exaggerated and get worse, particularly the longer we run green.
There's that 05 of David Starr rolling around for the free pass, the lucky dog. You know, we had one caution in the first 120 laps. Since then, we've had, I think, 4 cautions since then.
David Starr is a lucky dog. I mean, to blow that left rear tire off that car, spin out, hit the wall, get it back on, get back on the track, and get the lucky dog. That's a lucky dog.
I'd say
he's lucky.
And he's used his mulligan.
37 laps remaining. I want to remind you to go to Goodyear.com to check out Goodyear's Support Our Troops program. There you can send a thank you message from a NASCAR driver, enter for a chance to win a 2011 Ford Taurus, and other great prizes, and much more. Goodyear.com to check out Goodyear's Support Our Troops program. Now there's Ron Hornaday, and tell you what, he had a full night's work, and that's for sure, but he had a pretty good race car prior to that incident that has ended his evening. Won the truck race last night and was running second when he went to the wall here.
Did a good job for Kevin Harvick tonight. A great job. Vince, another thing I'm noticing, I'm looking out right now, guys, I see a lot of guys standing on pit wall, these pit crews getting ready. I mean, a lot of times they just get up there to fake their component or their teammates out. The guys pitted around them, the other teams. Some of these guys look real serious. They got a lot of tires in their hands. So we got 36 laps to go. Ricky, what's going to happen?
Boy, track position for me. And it'd be hard for me to give up the lead here.
Put you on the spot, didn't I?
You did, but I'm okay with that. As long as these guys don't listen to me, I think everything will be fine.
They don't want to listen to me. I've made that big mistake many times. I'm not an ace at making a decision, 2 tires, 4 tires, but I got to believe, though, late, like it is now, I'd have to do 2 right sides and keep that track position.
Yeah, you use the 99 as an example. You know, he's very, very strong up front, but you get him back in 6th, 7th, 8th place, and you're just another car.
No doubt about it, the clean air has been key for Kyle Busch tonight. We saw Busch get out there and stretch that lead out to about a second and a half, while Hornaday and Bain and some of the others were battling there in traffic.
Vince, it allows you to use the entire racetrack, and on the short track, that's everything. Take the low side on entry, let the car drift all the way to the wall on the exit. If you can do that lap after lap, you're saving your tires.
Yeah, you're not getting locked down to the bottom of the racetrack, tearing them up or nothing like that. And Vince, you were talking about the clean air. A lot of people think, hey, this is a short track. That's not important. Let me tell you what, it is important. You get any type of air. These guys are going over 120 miles an hour in the straightaway. I mean, folks, you ever drove down the highway and stuck your hand out the window and see what that feels like? Let me tell you what downforce does a lot, even on these short tracks.
We got a few takers here, guys.
Pit lane is open. You see they're being led by the 60 of Carl Edwards. Trevor Bain in there as well. Let's go to Rick DeBrule for the 99.
Yeah, the thing they were really questioning was the weather. They were concerned that if they come in and it rains that they would have lost that. They need to make some adjustments, though. They decided they finally didn't have a choice. Not only were they going to adjust the track bar in the rear, they want to put a rubber in, they also decided to go for 4 tires. Shannon?
Carl Edwards says the car is getting better. You see a chassis adjustment right there. They have been working on this car all night, and it's going to be 2 tires for Carl
Kyle Busch stayed out, but Carl Edwards came in, and it looks like some problems on the 66. We'll document that when we come back. 1 and 2, the 18 and the 22. 32 laps remaining at O'Reilly Raceway Park. The leader, Kyle Busch, stayed out. Carl Edwards came in. He's our in-race reporter. Rusty?
Hey, Carl, Rusty, ESPN, you got us?
I got you, Rusty.
All right, buddy, it's crunch time right now. You got 4 sticker tires in that thing. You're running 11th. You got what it takes to win this race?
A good question. We're not out racing them on the racetrack. Our car, I'm having trouble with it. A little tight in the center, loose off. So we're going to try to outsmart it here by taking these tires. And I think if we can get maybe one caution and get some clear track out there, we're going to be pretty good.
Carl, what have you been fighting all night long with the car?
Man, it's really good on restarts. And then I get down to the center, and I'm just tugging the wheel tight, and then I get on the gas and come off, and I'm really loose. But on these restarts, it seems pretty good. It's just after a few laps. So this is actually the best case for us. I just hope coming back here to 11th doesn't hurt us.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Go back to work.
Thanks, Russ.
Still cleaning up the mess in turn 3. Let's go downstairs to Shannon Spake with Ron Hornaday. We're going to check in with them in a moment. Hornaday, one of those involved in the contact, so we'll get his thoughts here in a moment. He was running second at the time, so the 33 had a very good run going until this. Shannon.
Well, as you just said, down here with Ron Hornaday, I saw you favoring your right shoulder a little bit. Are you all right?
No, just my ribs a little bit. That was a hard hit. I guess he didn't listen to the driver's meeting. I mean, right they got the corner, he just turned left. So I hate it for Kevin Delana, Ernie Cope. All these guys worked hard on this Jimmy John's car. We were running Kyle down at 10th lap. I don't think I could have passed him, but we had a good second-place car today. And he did the same thing in practice. So he came over, apologized, said he'd stay out of my way. And what does he do? Wrecks us. So I don't know.
Ron, I saw you got up on the pit box and spoke with his crew chief. What'd you have to say to him?
I just went over spotter said anything. He's yeah, he wanted the outside as well. Everybody went to the outside, but Kyle just passed him to the inside, and I already committed to the inside. He just turned left. I hate to see it. It was a good car, and sorry, Kevin Delana, Jimmy Johns, they deserve a good run, and it was a good showing for them.
Thanks, Ron. Vince?
Well, that clears up a little bit then, because we only had the in-car camera on Ron Hornaday and thought maybe he had a tire go down, but it sounds like from Ron's perspective that J.C. Stout got into him, then turned down into him as they were going into turn 3.
Vince, evidently J.C. got into him, and when he hit the right front, it actually did blow the tire out. But it seems like it happened when those two made contact. And to me, I just thought the fender was hitting, but hey, obviously he knows more than we know. But it did blow out, the tire did.
29 laps to go. Is this the final sprint to the finish, or will we get another caution between now and then? And look at the two that are leading the way. Last year's champion, Kyle Busch, on the outside. This year's points leader, Brad Keselowski, on the inside. Busch takes the lead, gets a nice little push there from the 62 initially on that restart.
Brendan Gaughan gets a great restart. Brad gets a little loose.
Boy, see, Brad Keselowski just really got loose off that corner. Oh!
More contact in the
Michael
back.
Annett in the wall right now.
One of the cars that stayed out, so maybe penalized for that. The tires were maybe dirty on the restart.
Brendan Gaughan has jumped up into second. Strong run for the 62 of Gaughan. Carl Edwards, remember Edwards got the 4 fresh tires, and he's now on the march again.
Oh, guys, he's picked up 5 positions in his one lap. I mean, these new tires are doing a lot for Edwards. He's sailing through this field at the moment. Look at him go to the bottom, get a little bite up off of turn 4, down that front straightaway, right in front of Allgaier, and now he's hunting down Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Edwards takes away that 6th spot from Allgaier, now in 5th, Keselowski in 4th, and Almirola in front of him as well. So here comes Carl Edwards charging in on 22.
The new tires allow him to go places the other cars can't go. It's just grip.
We thought that the two of these guys running next to one another after what happened in Gateway might create some interesting moments, but right now it just looks like Edwards is just going to be stronger because he's got the fresh tires, although Keselowski's trying to hang in there.
The tires are everything in the world. I mean, you heard what Carl told us. He said, hey, if I can get a caution late in this thing, get caught back up, He thinks he can win this thing. He might just run him down right now without that and still win this thing because his lap times are a lot faster than the leader.
Carl is now charged up into 4th place, and that's Eric Almirola in front of him. Almirola making his first start of the season here tonight in the 88 for Junior Motorsports. Let's check out the speeds at the line when they come back around this time and see what kind of numbers Kyle Busch is putting up on the screen in comparison maybe to what Carl Edwards is putting up.
Remember, now Carl's caught in traffic a little bit here.
But he's still faster than everybody on the track, and about a tenth faster than Kyle Busch, the leader. In traffic, Rusty, so that's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah, he's fastest in traffic. That's scary. Now he moves into 3rd now.
So Edwards has passed Almirola. Next on his radar will be Brendan Gaughan. There's a good battle between Paul Menard and Allgaier. That's for 7th spot.
Man, there is no better feeling in the world to be late in the race and everybody's got used tires and you got new ones and you are mowing them down. That is a great feeling.
New tires fix everything. Power off through the middle, the ability to turn, the ability to brake, everything.
Edwards charging in now on the 62 of Gaughan. Edwards pulls up side by side as they go into turn 1. Let's see if Carl can put Gaughan away and take over 2nd place.
Vince's car's working so good in these new tires. He doesn't have to go to the top of the racetrack. He can stay in the bottom, shortest way around, and he's got the speed doing that. Doesn't need to use the whole track up now because he's just handling that good.
Gaughan has had a lot of success working around the outside, but he's not going to be able to stay up with Carl at this moment. Carl with those fresh tires, and the big question is now, can he catch Kyle Busch? Let's check in with Mike Massaro on the front runners. Mike.
And Vince, we're not the only ones watching the 60 cut his way through the field. Kyle Busch's new spotter, Eddie DeHaan, has basically been giving Kyle play-by-play over the last 5 or 6 laps as to the status of the 60. They knew he took tires, they knew he'd be coming, and they've given Kyle updates every lap as to where he's been running. They know he's on his way.
Well, he picked up about a 1/10.5 on that last lap, and it's now down under 1.2 seconds to the lead for Kyle Busch.
Well, you know, if you're a spotter for Kyle Busch, the only thing you can say right now is drive your brains out because the 60 car is on the way, and he's a lot quicker.
Closing the gap. Seeing the intervals down there on the bottom of your screen as Edwards starts to creep in now, about a second behind Kyle Busch.
Yeah, that last time by Kyle Busch, a 23.66 to Carl Edwards, 23.55. So about a 1/10 of a second faster Carl is right now, Ricky.
Kyle's got to be careful here not to create wheel spin. He needs to save a little for when Carl catches him because he's probably going to catch him. He needs to save his best for last.
5 times this season, Kyle Busch has led the most laps. He's won every one of them. He's going to be your lap leader tonight as well. This is lap 127 that he will have led. Meanwhile, the battle for 8th, Allgaier in the Verizon Dodge, and there's Reed Sorensen getting up underneath it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. watching from behind. You've got to keep your eye on the screen tonight because there has just been racing all over the place.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier's been solid tonight. He needs a good run. He's had some problems the last couple weeks.
Stenhouse trying to poke underneath and take away the spot from Allgaier. That would be for 9th. Back up toward the front. Almirola for 3rd, getting underneath Brendan Gaughan. They're going to be side by side going through the corner.
You see Almirola, the right rear quarter panel, and it just happened a couple laps ago. He peeled that thing back, tore that quarter panel up, but I don't believe it's going to affect this car at all.
They're coming through turns 3 and now off turn 4, and Almirola gets just a little bit ahead of Gaughan, and let's see if Eric Almirola can put a little more distance between him. Good run for Almirola tonight for Junior Motorsports in his first start of the season, running in the top 5, and he's been consistent. Josh Wise, the other Junior Motorsports car, is top 15 car tonight as well.
So what you got here, the 18, the 60, as drivers, they're making qualifying laps. They're giving you everything they've got.
Remember, we showed you the interval when it was right around 1 second difference. Now look, Edwards has clicked about 3/10 off that Kyle Busch advantage.
The problem we got right now, Vince, this speed difference is not as much right now. The last time by, Kyle Busch, a 23.72 to Carl Edwards, 68. So it's not a full 1/10 of a second faster. The closer he gets, the more he's slowing down. I think that downforce is definitely playing effect.
Gone is slipping a bit. He was running second, and now he's trying to hold off Trevor Bayne as they battle for fourth place.
It wouldn't be completely unreasonable to expect another caution.
No, I totally believe it's going to happen again. 12 laps to go right now.
Kyle Busch finished second in the truck race last night. Tonight, he's in the lead, but he's trying to hold off Carl Edwards. A couple of former champions doing battle, while Gone and Trevor Bayne battle a little deeper in the field. In just about every place on the track tonight, you're running in traffic, and you're either battling a lap car or you're battling someone for position.
Keselowski's coming into the picture here. You know, Keselowski has spent most of the night better than Carl Edwards. Now, there's a point differential. He's given up some points. So you got to wonder what he's thinking here. He may push the issue. He needs to try to get those points back.
Keselowski's in sixth, and there's the battle for seventh between Paul Menard and Reed Sorensen. Those two have been hanging around one another a lot tonight.
Ooh, it got tight right there between Bayne and Gone. Gone got way high in the racetrack right now. Kind of opened the door up for Keselowski.
Less than 10 laps to go at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
And remember, Keselowski didn't pit that last time. He still got the old tires. Last pitted at lap 121.
Kyle Busch in the lead while Bayne fronts Gone and Keselowski. And then Sorensen and Menard are behind them. Trevor Bayne running in fourth.
About to get really congested here. Really, really busy. It's hard enough to race somebody side by side, but when you're occupied with your right rear, as Keselowski is with Paul Menard, and then Paul Menard is occupied with his left rear for Reed Sorensen, there's a lot going on.
Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Right there, you could throw a blanket over the top of them.
This is some great, great driving.
I don't know what's going to happen. There's a potential right here in this gang of cars. 4 of them stacked up with 7 to go, and they know it's 7 to go.
So let's make it 3 wide.
Let's make it 3. Gone doesn't want to give it up. Keselowski wants that position. He wants those points.
Meanwhile, just to let you know what's happening up front, Kyle Busch holding that lead at about 0.6 of a second over Carl Edwards.
Oh, 3
but
wide.
This is the battle here, 3 wide as they come down the front straight. Sorensen getting underneath Keselowski now, trying to box him out, and we've got a caution. Car into the wall. It's the 87 of Nemechek.
Well, now we got to finish.
All right.
So
now let's
6
refocus.
laps to go, and a caution is going to give us a restart.
And I was watching lap times. The last 2 or 3 laps, Kyle Busch and Edwards were almost identical.
Carl Edwards is saying, all right, baby.
Carl's got the fresh tires. We'll see if they can pay off here in the final laps. Coming back, it's Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards going to duel it to the end. Three laps to go at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and we're going to have a restart with Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards going at it wheel to wheel. Let's check in with Shannon Spake, who's with the crew chief for Carl Edwards.
Well, we're down here just getting ready to climb up the pit box to talk to Drew Blickensderfer, guys. Drew down here overlooking pit road. Drew, it looks like you're going to have a green-white checkered on your hands. What do you need to do to beat the 18 here tonight?
Well, we got a little fresher tires, so I think if he gives us the bottom, that might be our opportunity. Maybe we can cut across the apron and kind of shorten the track and use our fresh tires to get ahead. So hopefully he'll give us the bottom and we'll get a run at it. 18's been better on long runs. Our tires might help us out, though.
Hopefully the 18 wasn't listening to this interview, guys. The 18 is where the 60 wants to be.
The 18 starts on the outside, and first attempt at the green-white checkered. Set the stage for us here, Ricky.
Yeah, so what I'm focused on here, if I'm Kyle Busch, is cleaning off these tires because I got more wear on them than Carl Edwards. Going to restart in second gear. I do not want to create any wheel spin. If I create wheel spin, Carl's going to get the advantage. I need a really good second gear restart.
Yeah, Carl's going to have to get a good restart, too. And if he gets down to the turn 1, he needs to mat the throttle and squirt across the center of that corner and just get up in front of him. He might not have the fastest speed off the corner, but he needs to get in front of him off of turn 2.
Carl Edwards passed Kyle Busch last year to win this race. Now we're even deeper into the race, and he's got a chance to do it again. Here's the restart. The green-white checkered, and Kyle Busch gets a great jump.
You got it.
Great start for Kyle Busch.
Now protect the bottom, take away his strength. Here he comes.
Carl Edwards has those fresher tires, as you heard his crew chief Drew Blickensderfer say. Will that make the difference? Edwards drives it down into turn 3. Trying to make it stick as he comes in. They come side by side. Contact. Both hold on to it. Busch keeps the lead. The white flag is waving, and they are into turn 2.
Carl needs to prepare himself off the exit of 2 for one more shot through 3 and 4.
Down the backstretch.
Right there,
There's
shoot
Edwards
across.
diving it in.
That's where I talk about matting the throttle. That's where he's got to get it. He's dead sideways now. Not going to work for him this
But
lap.
Kyle hangs it out. Kyle Busch is going to take the checkered flag and win at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
Great finish.
Boy, good. I mean, this racing tonight was unbelievable.
Kyle Busch holds Carl Edwards off, and Busch wins for the 8th time this season.
It's a win for Kyle Busch. It's a win for Carl Edwards, because part of what he wanted to say there is, look, I can race this guy nose to tail, door to door, without any controversy.
Hey, great race, no doubt about it. I mean, a little bumping and banging. We had a problem the first lap with Leffler. And, man, what a great race throughout the day. A lot of tore-up sheet metal, but other than that, good racing here at ORP.
Kyle Busch wins for the 8th time in the first 20 races of the season. That ties the record set by Jack Ingram, who won 8 of the first 20 races of the season back in 1984. That was a year before Kyle Busch was even born.
That puts it in perspective.
It's got to be a good feeling for Kyle Busch now going into the big race, the Brickyard 400 tomorrow, knowing you just won. You got some momentum on your side, and he needs that. It's a big race tomorrow.
It means everything, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, yeah. It's all in your head. You know you got it done one night. Carry it on to the next day. Nothing wrong with that.
Is there anybody better than Kyle Busch? He's won 5 of his last 6 starts in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He's not going to win the championship, but this guy is dominant when he gets in the car and wins races.
No, it's 2 things. Number 1, he's won 8 races now this year, which is very impressive because we're a little bit past halfway. And then the second thing is he's led every race he's run, which Vince, I believe, is 16. That's a strong, strong number when you've led every race you've entered.
No, he's good. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. He knows it. Take a look at that. I'm the man, and he is the man. He got it done tonight.
Carl Edwards gave it a run, but he came up just a little bit short. He's with Shannon Spake.
Well, Carl, the good news is that people will no longer be talking about last week's race. They are now going to be talking about this finish. Tell me what that was like coming down to the line with the 18.
Well, I pegged him to, I predicted him to take off a little bit late, so I laid back just a little. And as soon as he saw me lay back, he took off. So he got me on the start, and then I could get under him and I could work him. We had better tires. It's amazing how fast they are on those old tires. We've had some good races here, and he beat us today. But I just got to thank Fastenal, Copart, Ford, Aflac, and all my fans for sticking behind me this week. That was a good way to, a good race to get out of the way. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad it ended up the way it did. Drew made a great call on pit road, so that's good.
How much did you work on that car this evening?
I think Drew was counting rounds. It was 9 or 10 rounds in the left rear, but yeah, congrats to Kyle and those guys again. That car was class of the field. We couldn't outrace them, so Drew outsmarted them, and second is what we came here for, but at least it was exciting.
Carl Edwards, another exciting finish here at ORP. Starts 19th tomorrow over at IMS.
Well, and Kyle Busch still celebrating his 8th win of the season. Solid run for Eric Amarola tonight. He finished 3rd for Junior Motorsports. He's with Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of redemption. Last night in the truck race, you had an absolutely miserable experience. Does this make up for it?
Yeah, anytime you come out and run good in a nationwide race like this, it makes you feel better. Just want to thank Dale Jr. and everybody at Junior Motorsports, Kelly and Tony Jr. and Pops. All these guys on this GT Vodka Chevrolet, man, they worked their guts out today in practice. I think we made more laps than anybody. Just working on it, trying to find the balance I wanted. It's a new team for me to work with, and I had a blast, man. These guys are a lot of fun to work with. So just want to thank them for the opportunity. GT Vodka, everybody that's on board this Chevy. It was a fun night, and can't wait to do it again.
All right, not bad. 3rd place.
8th time this season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series that we've had a green-white checkered finish, and Kyle Busch has won 5 of those 8. He's at Victory Lane with Mike Massaro. Mike.
And Kyle Busch trying to get rehydrated. It was awfully hot out there, finally climbing outside the car. Big smile on his face. And Kyle Busch back in Victory Lane at O'Reilly Raceway Park, his 3rd victory here. And man, it didn't come easy. It looked like he had this thing wrapped up until that last caution came out. How would you describe that battle with Carl?
It was a good, clean, hard-fought battle. And when you treat people with respect, that's what you get. You get respect back. So Carl was awesome tonight. Can't thank the rest of these competitors. I had a tough battle there in the beginning with Trevor Bain. I mean, I had to do what I had to do to get by him sometimes. But, man, I can't thank FleetLocate.com enough. These guys, Joe Gibbs Driven Racing Oil, NOS Energy Drink, Z-Line Designs, Jim Sexton, Gillette, Marquee Jets, electric sunglasses, and, of course, the fans. I mean, it's fun to come out here and put on a good show like this, and hopefully they enjoyed it.
As if this win wasn't impressive enough, you didn't practice this car at all. You came over here, jumped in for qualifying, and then went out and got the victory. How were you able to do that?
Just these guys, I mean, they build such great race cars. They bring great race cars to the shop, so it's all back on them. They did a great job for me, and we've seen Carl Edwards do it before that way, so glad I was able to do it.
One of the key moments was the restart there on the green-white checker. How were you able to get such a good jump?
I just knew that I had to get going, and I had to get a good launch, and you know me, if people want to call Ron Hornaday the restart king, I smoked him tonight, so better relabel that one.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Kyle Busch in victory lane. Vince?
Kyle Busch led the final 80 laps tonight, and he scores his 8th win of the season. Kyle celebrating at O'Reilly Raceway Park. He's the winner tonight.
Welcome back to our O'Reilly Raceway Park. Down here with your points leader, Brad Keselowski, who finished 8th here this evening. But this was a tough night for you guys. You had the problem on the start of the race, the checkup. You had a clutch going down. Just walk me through your night, Brad.
I just couldn't quite catch a break. We had a fast race car, all day today. And from qualifying, getting a bad draw, and to the start of the race, getting, tore up on some kind of brake check there. I'm not sure what happened. It's just one of those days, but I'm still happy to take a solid finish away with our Discount Tire Dodge, and try to look on the bright side. And we had a strong run, got a great race car, just wasn't our night.
Now, you and Carl have obviously given us a lot to talk about this weekend. A little bit more tonight because you guys were racing side by side. Did that come into your mind at all while you were right next to Carl?
I tried not to. I was racing a lot of guys hard all night. Just good, hard, short track racing, and that's what this is all about. That's what O'Reilly Raceway Park's about, and why it's one of the best racetracks out there.
205 points, Brad Keselowski, still your points leader.
Well, Brad Keselowski does indeed keep his points lead here tonight, but Carl Edwards gained 23 points. Ticket to the race, NASCAR.com/tickets. Look at those great events coming
we've got
up.
Short tracks, road courses, everything. Speedways coming up, big races.
Can't wait.
We're going to be at Iowa next week. Can't wait for that one. Always good racing at Iowa Speedway. Brad Keselowski will have the points lead. Carl Edwards is chasing him. Tonight, it was Kyle Busch. That wraps up the racing here tonight at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Brickyard 400, presented by Golden Corral at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 12 noon. Don't forget, next weekend is the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Iowa, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Congratulations again to Kyle Busch. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Big smile on his face.